The following podcast has been rated PGN. Parental guidance is neglected.
Boy, it's been a long time since we've had a little father-son chat.
I am your father.
Father, if you can hear me, I failed.
Don't let your mother smell that beer on your breath. She'll take it out on me.
I'm here with my dad.
I know what you're gonna say, son. And you're right. You're right.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
I've abandoned my boy!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Parental Guidance Neglected. Something is different.
Yes.
I sense.
A lot
Some
of
things happened.
A lot of things are different. First off, again, I promise this every episode. I swear we're going to be back the next week, and then it's 4 months later that we come back, and we have 57 films to review, and I wish I was exaggerating.
And truthfully, this is intentional. We want you guys to want it so bad.
Yeah.
We want you guys to be like, where are they? We need them back.
Desire.
That way you're always on the edge of your seat.
Desire. Also, I'm going to have to keep my mouth really close to my microphone because I am in our kitchen today. Jackson, of course, is down in his room at school. And I have to keep real close because watch that. If I pull back, it suddenly sounds like I'm in a tunnel.
Yep.
So
there it is.
We're not going to do that. The reason I'm doing it from my kitchen is because there are construction workers upstairs demolishing my son's ex-room, which I'm turning into a man cave. And then we have a bunch of construction workers downstairs putting in flooring. So you might hear a hacksaw or some drilling, or and a plumber's on the way too. Just so you know, I just got a text.
Okay.
So a plumber's coming, but hopefully Jackson's mom's going to take care of all that. But if suddenly we have to pause, or what I'll do is I'll just leave Jackson to do a monologue about his 15 favorite Asian films.
I'll do a tight five.
Tight five.
What
stretch?
What is? Speaking of man caves, what is? If you had to, it seems I lost you for a second.
I'm right here.
1, 2, hello.
Still got me? I'm right here. I'm talking to you. I'm moving. I'm here. Now you're frozen, but I'm back. I'm still
right
here. Okay.
I'm back. Are you back?
We just had a little freeze there, and we might have them, and we're just going to plow through them.
That's all good. I was just saying, speaking of, man caves, what does your dream man cave look like? If you're like, you got a room, you got a blank slate, anything can go in there. Give me the rundown.
Okay, first off, lots of beads, lots of hanging beads like through doorways. Yeah. There's obviously going to be lava lamps. There's going to be a jukebox that only has like really southern rock songs. A lot of Ted Nugent, a lot of it like a Trump rally jukebox.
Yeah, some Leonard Skinner. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently some Ave Maria because he's really into that. If you've been watching the news,
yeah, that's been
it was so weird. I don't know. Would I have I don't. It would be small. Would I have a pool table, a foos table, a ping pong table, or maybe like a wrestling ring? Like a blow-up wrestling.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
And then lots of posters of like, you know what I actually would probably do is I'd probably do like a lot of posters like a Quentin Tarantino, like how he finds these vintage B movies like Faster Pussycat, Kill. That'd be kind of cool just to have like people go, what the hell movie is that? And then I go, I don't know.
Yeah, what is that? Yeah.
But the poster's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm never going to have a man cave. You know your mother. I'm never going to have a man cave. I might get
it's an uphill battle for you.
Yeah. I might get like a man cubby, like a shelf in a closet where I can go, that's my man shelf where I keep...
right. You've got to, yeah.
Yeah. I get like a beer bong hat and an old video handheld game or something. That would be about it. I don't know.
Right.
Did you take... You have the Xbox, right? You have our Xbox.
I do have the Xbox, yeah.
Okay, so I can't even play video games. You know how I love to play.
You never played video games.
I never played
anyways.
video. Yeah, I didn't. That's not my thing. And when I do play video games, I like the what do you call them? The quest games or the adventure games?
Yeah, you like the puzzle game,
puzzle
like Mist
games.
and Riven. You
Yeah.
like the You're exploring like an old house and
Yes.
there's clues around, like an escape room kind of thing.
Who murdered Miss Marble? You know,
Right,
we got to
right.
put it all. Read them. It's so stupid, but that's what I like.
Yeah.
I got to shoot things. Here's one I know. I don't think you ever get. Did you ever get into the sports ones? I don't get like
I have
the Madden
I
thing.
hate those games, and it's not even like. In theory, they could be fun for like a decent time. I am so bad at them. I'm like absurdly bad at those games. Yeah.
I don't get how you're controlling like an entire offensive line either. It's like, okay.
Hey, me either.
Yeah.
You're talking to my guy.
Apparently, because you suck. There he is, Mr. COVID himself, Jackson Burns.
I got that stinking residual cough that me and you always get whenever we're sick. I've been fine for like a month, but this cough, I just can't kick it.
Yeah, unfortunately, the DNA got passed down, and I actually got a prescription from the doctor for some cough medicine.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went in and I said, "Listen, I'm not sick, but I've been coughing for 3 months, and ask me if it's working.
help me.
Ask me if it's working. Not a bit."
All right, there it is.
There's a small talk. So we've been off the air for a while. We're back on now. A couple things. We got a lot of movies to talk about. So we did promise you last time trivia in this episode, but we're just going to be tight on time. We have so much film to talk about. We will push that. It's award season. The other thing is that I don't want to get too deep into it. But it's not the only reason we haven't been on, but my son is very busy. It's his senior year of school. He has 2 thesis films that he has to serve as director of photography, and then he's jumping onto other people's theses to help out in other positions, whether it be gripping or best boying or helping out in electrical and all that. So he's got a very tight schedule. Appreciate you getting on, Burns. But how's it going? Are you? I know you're done with one major thesis. You have another DP thesis coming up, and then you're helping others out. How is thesis season going? A lot of people think this is award season. This is thesis
No, this
season.
thesis season. It's been good. It's really weird to think about because we're only the thesis go in cycles, and we're only on cycle 3.
Ooh.
And so it's like we're still pretty early into the year, but things are going good.
Okay.
I got one thesis in the can, another one teeing up for mid-November, and things are going good. I mean, it's busy, but it's good busy, and and you know what? I still got time to watch a few movies here and there, so who can complain?
The one thing, and then we'll move on from this, because I don't know if I mentioned, we have 94 films to go over. The number's just going to grow as I go along.
That's a real number. Yeah, it's a real number.
The one thing I want to ask you is that I've always tried to ingrain in you, especially when you told me this is the line of work that you wanted to study and possibly go into, is that I don't care what the budget is. I don't care if it's big, small, little. Every shoot, something's going to go wrong, something's going to go right, and there's going to be a lot of stuff in between. And at the end of the day, when the project's over, you're going to say, I'm really happy with this, I'm really unhappy with that, and this is my feeling of the project overall. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just the nature of
that's how it is.
That's the nature of the business. So with that said, from what you've done so far, what percentage has gone right? What percentage has gone wrong? Just from your standpoint, not saying whether the project is good or bad, just like everything went according to plan means right, and everything went completely not the way I thought it was going to go wrong.
50-50.
50-50. There you go, baby. That's the world
50-50.
That's the world of creation. All right.
There it is. Yeah.
And again, sometimes projects are 50-50 like that, and they win Academy Awards. And sometimes they go 50-50, and they end up being films that you and I discussed at the end of the year on our top 10 not best films. Not best films of the year.
Least best, yeah.
Well, speaking of best films and not best, we are now officially into award season. There are several films that I have seen that Jackson has not. Excuse me. And I think there's a couple films that he has seen that I have not. But we like to have the most fun, obviously, when we both have seen the films. And by chance, not really by chance, because we've wanted to see all these, I believe there are 4 movies that we're going to be discussing that we have both seen. Whether or not we'll be debating and arguing over them, I don't know. I'm going to be very curious to find out. But we're going to start out with those, and I will let you know that later on I have... let me see my notes. I saw Speak No Evil, Never Let Go. That's the Halle Berry horror movie. I saw My Old Ass with Aubrey Plaza. I finally caught the movie Thelma with June Squibb about the old lady who gets taken for money and goes after the bad guys. Michael Keaton directed a movie this year that came and went called Knox Goes Away about a serial killer, a hitman who gets dementia. Also, I did see the new horror sequel, Smile 2, which just opened this weekend, as well as Joker, Folia Do, which I don't think you have seen, Mr. Burns.
No, and it's not because I didn't want to. I mean, I don't want to that much, but it's not why I haven't seen it. It just wasn't.
No,
it's kind of not playing much either. I think it kind of bombed.
It bombed very bad. I think I saw somewhere that someone was laughing, or some meme that Joker Part 2 made less money than
Terrifier 3.
Terrifier and Madam Web. Like Madam Web has already made more money than Joker Part 2. Also, I saw a little British film called Wicked Little Letters, and a movie that I do know Jackson saw. He talked about it on our last podcast. Is Dee Dee, the coming of age story of a young videographer. So I'm going to give him my thoughts on that. And I know Jackson probably has a few surprises up his sleeve as well. We'll check in with his pretentious art house corner. But first, let's get to our 4 films that we have seen. And I think it's safe to say that all 4 of these movies were potential and maybe real Oscar bait. These are all movies that are being released around this time and are being shown around the city for consideration and a lot of Q&As. And I'm gonna pick. Which one do you want to start with, Jackson?
I think we should start with Saturday Night.
Saturday Night.
That is one that I think that
SATURDAY Night. SATURDAY Night. White. That is a song by the Bay City Rollers that I bet you don't even know.
Never heard of them. They sound fine.
Yeah. Ask me how many hit songs they had.
How many hit songs do they have?
Jackson, they would go in concert and they would open with their hit Saturday Night. And then they would close the concert again with their hit Saturday Night. That's bad when you know the only way to keep an audience is that, hey, stick around through these next 12 songs because we're going to play the one you like again.
We're going to play the one again.
Yeah, we're going to play it again. Saturday.
Well, I hope they're all right.
Saturday Night. Hey, I grew up on SNL. Jackson's kind of grown up slightly on SNL on YouTube because it doesn't seem...
I grew up in a very different era of SNL.
Yeah.
I came up on early 2010s where it was like the beginning of their digital shorts.
Yeah.
Like kind of like oh my god, who was the guy who would always do something? Kyle Mooney. Kyle Mooney and his digital shorts. I always came up on him and that whole crew. Lonely Island.
Yeah, Lonely Island's your generation, and then obviously the new guys on the block are the 3 what's the guys now who are kind of do the digital shorts? Are they still doing them? They did the film.
I'm forgetting their names.
Please
Don't Destroy.
Yeah, Please Don't Destroy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird. Saturday Night has kind of come to this show that people aren't home on Saturday night and don't stay up and watch it. I don't think people even TiVo it anymore. Or DVR it. They simply wake up the next day and they selectively pick
watch the highlights.
Highlights on YouTube. But Saturday Night is the new movie from Jason Reitman. It was written by him and Gil Keenan, who is responsible for the last couple of Ghostbuster movies in that franchise. Saturday Night, Jackson. I'm not gonna belittle it. It is possibly the, in my opinion, most disappointing movie of the year. And that's not to say that I think it's a bad movie. It's just that I don't feel it really taught me anything new, and maybe because it's a generational thing about television, about the cast of SNL, about the early days, and to be honest with you, I found it rather boring. I do want to talk a little bit about the believability of the movie and if that's intentional or how we're supposed to take that, because none of that happened within the first hour and a half before.
Yeah,
it was very, very crammed with a lot of quote-unquote historical accuracies. But I was pretty disappointed with Saturday Night. What did you think, Mr. Burns?
I mean, I didn't know any of this stuff. And even if it wasn't accurate, I mean, I don't know much about the history. There were people that were being represented that I didn't even know. I was unsure of which celebrity they were, where I was like, who is this supposed to be? Yeah. I mean, I knew Andy Kaufman and Dan Aykroyd and all those guys, but there were some people where I was like,
probably the ladies. You're like, who's Lorraine Newman? Who's
I did not know
Jane
Lorraine
Curtin?
Newman.
Yeah, Gilda Radner.
I had a really good time though. I don't want to. Is it a great film? I don't think so. But I thought it was witty. I thought it was funny. I thought that it had some touching moments. Is it completely just, making Lorne Michaels look like a hero of cinema and TV? Yeah. Absolutely. Is that probably because he was somewhat involved with the writing process? Perhaps. But I don't know, man. I think that I went in just looking for a fun time, and I came out with exactly that. I think that it was a really stupid decision to cast Greg from Succession in two different parts.
What? Why? What? So for those who haven't seen it, the guy who plays Greg, and I'm forgetting the actor's name.
I'm forgetting his name. Sorry.
From Succession, and he's great in Succession as Greg. They cast him not only as Andy Kaufman, but also as Jim Henson, the Muppets creator. And while it was kind of funny to see him in one of the roles, it was really weird to have him. I don't know what the artistic choice was there.
The story that I'm hearing is that Benny Safdie was set up to play Andy Kaufman, and I'm just going to call him Greg. Was set up to play Jim Henson. And Benny Safdie had to drop out because he's directing a new film, his wrestling movie that's coming out soon. And I guess Jason Reitman was just like, well, I think that you could do this role as well. Do you want to do both? And he was like, okay. So seemingly no reason behind it. And I think that it was really distracting.
Very.
I also and this is not his fault at all, it is really difficult watching someone that isn't Jim Carrey try to do Andy Kaufman, because it's the only thing you can compare it to. And Jim Carrey's Andy Kaufman is like perfect. So I don't know. That was my one big note.
Nicholas Braun is his name.
Nicholas Braun. Thank you.
I looked that up.
That was the one thing.
That's the very first thing I thought is, I'm going to compare this performance to Andy Kaufman's, and I did immediately, and it was cute, but it wasn't the same. Here's the problem. Maybe because I hold that generation of SNL in a bit of a higher esteem, I was hoping for something fresh and new. I mean, what did we learn? Chevy Chase was an asshole. We already John Belushi had a drug problem. Sometimes the show was very chaotic and drug-induced behind the set, and there was rivalries, and Garrett Morris was underused. I just didn't learn anything. And I thought I understand that you can go for the concept of a movie. We're going to take everything you know about those early days and kind of compress it and make this maybe fictionalized account of the hour-and-a-half countdown to the very first episode. But it was just so much with we got to hurry up and get the bricks in place. And they made a decision last second to have Chevy Chase be the Weekend Update guy instead of Lorne Michaels. And John left the set and no one can find him, and he was in an ice rink. I'm like, none of that happened.
Of course.
That night. But I guess for artistic reasons, you could go, we're kind of encapsulating the story in this fictional hour and a half. So it bothered me, but I also want to give it a little bit of leeway and go, okay, for the movie's purpose, you made it all seem like it happened in that time span.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say anything that you're saying is wrong. I think that had a better time with it and also knew way less than you did going in, so it didn't bother me as much. I also, and this is just my preference, I love 16mm film, and this movie was shot on 16mm film, and it looked beautiful. It looks beautiful.
I was thinking that while I was watching it, I'm like, this is the granular that my son likes.
There it is.
I unfortunately, for my generation, I think this is going to be a really disappointing, long slog fest for an hour and a half. I'm giving Saturday Night a D. I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
A D.
Wow.
No.
Wow, not even a C?
Really bored. Didn't laugh or smile once. And by the end, when they finally say live from New York, I was like, dear God, that better be the end. Yeah, D.
Wow.
Sorry, D. Jason Reitman could do better than this.
Oh,
dude, you can't tell me you're doing an expose of Saturday Night Live and teach me nothing except... You know who else I thought was kind of bad in this, and just kind of one note, was Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, who played the network executive.
Oh, no, I loved Cooper. I
like Cooper. I just don't.
I think he was underutilized.
He just got to walk around and go, Lauren, what are we? We're 45 minutes from the networks are not happy. They want to. I just felt like it was just repetitive.
Oh, wow. I'm going to give Saturday Night a 7.
Wow.
I had a good time.
You're being very generous.
I had a good time. I think you have to remember that I do not know who these people are. So I was able to enjoy it without fact-checking and things like that.
Okay.
So I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Yeah. There was a movie.
See how it feels when you have to be the bummer of the podcast? It's not so fun, huh?
Okay, well, please, by all means, comment on YouTube or on our Instagram page and let us know what your thoughts of Saturday Night were. Who is right? Who is wrong? Jackson says, pretty fun time. Looked great. I think it was a snore fest and a real waste of what could have been a better look at those early years of sketch comedy on TV. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's get right into our next film. It is easy to pile on to Megalopolis, Francis Ford Coppola's movie, as being a terrible movie. Everyone is doing it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's true because it is a terrible movie.
Before we get into the actual movie,
I
have to talk about my experience at the debut screening of Megalopolis because I was there.
That's true. Jackson went to a big premiere screening of it.
The Chinese theater.
Yeah.
The Chinese theater premiere, and there were, I think, 50 theaters that were doing a screening all at the same time, and beforehand they were going to do a live stream of Francis Ford Coppola doing a Q&A to before the film from one of the screenings in New York.
Okay.
And I don't know why, but he brought along Robert De Niro and Spike Lee, who are not affiliated with the movie at all, to do the Q&A with him.
Okay.
So it was very odd because the moderator had to kind of adapt all of his questions for people who didn't have anything to do with the movie that we were all there to see.
Mm-hmm.
And the Q&A went about as good as you could imagine. It was very odd. Francis Ford Coppola started talking about how he went to grade school with Donald Trump, and Robert De Niro went on this whole rant about how Donald Trump could never direct Megalopolis, which is I don't think anyone else could direct Megalopolis personally. So not much being said there. Spike Lee made a this was after the debate. He made a eating cats and dogs joke, and he thought it was a funny joke, and he was laughing so hard. And every time he'd make a joke, he would go, and he'd slap De Niro on the shoulder, and De Niro would be like,
why are you hitting me?
Just not having a good time. and then Coppola went on this rant about how great the Haitian people. We were talking about everything but the movie, and it was so bad that my theater was laughing like it was a stand-up set.
Really?
Just thought it was hilarious. Every single question that was being answered, everyone's like, what? What are we talking about right now? Coppola went on a rant about loan interest rates and how hard it was for him to get loan interest payments done for Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
Very strange Q&A. So that was the tee-up. Also, all the stars were out for this. John Landis and his wife were there.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Elizabeth Olsen was there.
Not in the movie.
And there was one other person that we saw that I'm totally forgetting.
Was anyone who was in the movie there?
Yes, it was. How could I possibly forget? Midnight Cowboy.
Jon Voight.
Jon Voight was also there.
Who I have worked with. I've worked with Jon Voight.
And then the movie screens, and the live thing happens. There's a moment in the film where a guy walks in front of the stage, and everyone's ready for it because we all know it's coming.
Right.
And suddenly the screen shrinks to about this big, and the guy asks
Adam Driver.
I realized immediately that he's asking Adam Driver a question. His mic isn't on. He's lip syncing from the dialogue of the movie.
Right.
He's not actually talking into the mic. He lip syncs into the mic. Adam Driver's responds to the question, and then he leaves the stage, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so I want to say this. Megalopolis sucks really bad.
Yeah.
Megalopolis is a pretty bad movie.
Yeah.
There are very brief moments of awesomeness.
Really?
And I will tell you where. I think that there are some really interesting montage moments that were very visually enticing. I think all the stuff where Caesar is drunk and he's running around, I think that was so visually interesting, and I love that. From a purely technical standpoint, I really enjoyed watching that. I thought that there were a few really great moments that I thought were hilarious. I thought that the whole him with the bow and arrow penis thing, I thought that was funny personally, but at that point I had kind of lost interest in the film.
Yeah.
With that being said, this thing is pretty bad. It's pretty bad, and I think that outside of it being a confusing mess, I think that it is one of the least visually consistent movies I've ever seen in my life.
It's all over the map.
There are scenes where it's like massive, like high concept, high key lighting, and there's fighting happening and all this. And then the next scene is in modern day downtown New York.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's going on? And then we're in the poor area, and there's crumbling statues and fog and all this crazy concept lighting. And then we're in a normal office space, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Are we? What time period is this taking place in? Who are these people? And it's unfortunate because I think that I don't want everyone to think that I'm being like, Megalopolis is a confusing mess, and that's why I don't like it. And it's not because it's such like an abstract idea that I just don't get it. It's because it's just a really terrible execution. It's a horrific execution of what could have been, in theory, a good idea.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I think it's an abstract idea that I didn't get, and I think it's terrible because of that. I think it's terrible for other reasons too.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Look, it doesn't narratively, it doesn't have a through line, but you're right. Visually, it doesn't have a through line.
Yeah.
The score doesn't have a through line. Like the music is everywhere.
All over the place.
The look, the lighting, everything. And this also, the performances are everybody is in a different movie. It's almost like Coppola said, you play your thing, and if it's over the top and crazy, you go with it. And if you want to get dark and introspective, Driver, you go ahead and do that. And the scene with Aubrey Plaza and Shia LaBeouf, we can call it the sex scene, is just, I'm like, what movie are we in?
Yeah.
But
also on that line, plot lines will start and then never get concluded. Where it's like, I'm blackmailing you to leave my daughter, and then it's like the next scene, it's like, well, we're all good now, and it's like, what the hell? What just happened?
It's not just that it's boring. It's just so incredibly difficult to follow. And there's a difference between knowing what Coppola wants to say, which I have no idea, and at least being able to follow the storyline where you're just not confused. It's a state of confusion that's not entertaining, and visually, something you put so much time in. I didn't see anything visual that I thought was breathtaking or groundbreaking or did anything new that I haven't seen before.
It's really weird because it's like all of these failures. Oh, I lost you for a second.
I'm here. Are we back? You're there.
Yep, here I am. Sorry, I was just saying that it's really interesting because all of these failures just lead back to bad directing. And it's like, that's such a, it feels like I shouldn't be saying that because it's Francis Ford Coppola and he's considered to be one of the greats ever. Right. But it all comes down to there isn't someone who has a singular vision who can actually employ it to the people who are involved. The DP clearly didn't know what he was doing. The production designer clearly didn't know what she was doing. Like, there's all this. It's all a convoluted mess. And I don't know, man.
I'll say this last on Megalopolis. When I was walking out, there was a thought of, I kept going back to Apocalypse Now. And if you know anything about the history of Apocalypse Now, even if you've seen the documentary about the making of it, Hearts of Darkness, you know that movie took so long, had so many production problems, nearly sent Coppola to the hospital with a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
And was not received very well overall by the audiences. Critics liked it, not all. Some didn't quite get it. But it was not a massive hit at first. But it was a film that over time people have come to appreciate more and more and more. It's like one of those things where you go back and go, boy, that failed commercially. But now we look back and go, what a groundbreaking masterpiece. And I thought, is that going to be the case with this? Are we all missing it? And
are we all crazy?
Yeah. And in 10, 15 years, we'll be going, you know what? I revisited Megalopolis, and that is actually, I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so either.
I think this is like a what was that movie that we had to watch? Phantom of the something? Phantom of the Paradise?
Phantom of the Paradise.
I think it's like that, where it's like doesn't do well critically, but like later on finds like a small group of fans who think that it's campy and fun. That's where I see this going.
This is the Showgirls of this year.
It is the Showgirls. Here's what I'll say. This is where I'll leave Megalopolis. I am about to give this movie a very bad score, but I want to say that I would rather see more Megalopolises in theaters than more IP-driven films, because I know Megalopolis was not a good movie, and I did not have a great time watching it, but at minimum, it was original, and it was auteur-driven, and I would prefer to take a massive failure flop auteur film over regurgitated superhero content, because I'm just sick of it. That's where I'll leave it. Good. With that being said, Megalopolis gets a 2.
Good. Megalopolis for me is a very hard F. Yeah. This is a complete and utter failure. And before you start going, oh, you also gave an F to, Morbius and these other crappy... Yes. But this is even more of a stronger F because it's so much talent involved.
Yeah, seriously.
And John Voight. So, and he said it.
Yeah.
And Dustin Hoffman was in this too. Oh my God.
Do you know the story behind that?
No, I don't.
The role that Dustin Hoffman plays, he's been on record saying that he would never have accepted a role that small for a film. But that role was originally written for James Caan, and he died before he could do it. And so he did it as a favor to him, as like, I will take up the role that you wrote for James because I like him a lot. Unfortunately, super underutilized and did not work out very well. But I hope it was at least interesting to see Midnight Cowboy Reunion kind of happen
a little bit in a weird way. And in some way, Dustin Hoffman just did Jim Caan the biggest favor ever in making sure that was not his final role,
not on his IMDb page.
Yeah, exactly. Well, going from one strange movie to the next. There is a new film that is kind of left theaters now, but is still getting a little bit of Oscar buzz out here and is doing some private screenings as well. And you might be able to find it in your art houses or streaming pretty soon. It kind of came and went, and I can understand why, because this is without a doubt the weirdest film, I think, of 2024. It's written and directed by Coralie Fargo. By the way, I'll just go off on a tangent here. There are a lot of films that we're talking about that are in theaters right now that are by writer/directors. We're seeing more and more directors who are writing their own material. It's becoming more common that I think directors are starting to have Now, whether or not they have longevity, but it seems like these first-time directors all have a story in them. Maybe they've been working on them since film school, and they're like, I've been working on this script for 12 years.
I got to get this out.
They get a huge hit. Whether or not they're going to have anything afterwards, I don't know. The substance is disturbing. It is violent. It is grotesque. It is weird. It's virtually indescribable. And Jackson, I think it may be one of the best films of 2024. And I say this as somebody who had to cover my eyes many times during the film because I was literally disgusted. Before we get into all the specifics of the substance, I will let you know this is a movie I highly recommend. You may not like, but I cannot deny this is a one-of-a-kind film. Before I have any more to say, what are your thoughts on the substance, Jackson?
One of the adjectives that was so important for me about this movie that I think you left out is it's also hilarious.
It's very funny.
The substance is such an interesting film, and I had such an awesome time watching it. I saw this movie on a random Tuesday afternoon, and it was surprisingly pretty packed. And I was nervous for my screening because it was mostly older millennial couples,
right?
Where I was like, I don't know if you know what this is about, because I kind of knew what was going on going into it just from reviews and things and here and there, but I didn't know where it was going. But I knew it was body horror and disturbing. But my theater loved it. It was really interesting to see these people be like, oh my God, reacting to it and laughing along.
What's funny is that I also went to a matinee screening of this, and I was getting the reaction from my audience that I almost knew was going to come, and there were a lot of people walking out of the theater.
Really? Wow.
There were. Yeah. I could see there was a lot of older people there that were like, we're taking in the new Demi Moore movie. It's about beauty.
Oh, yeah.
And there were people leaving in droves. For those who haven't heard of The Substance, this movie does star Demi Moore, who I think probably proves here that she has deserved better scripts, or at least better agents who steered her towards better material than striptease throughout her career, because she's fantastic here. She's going to be in the Oscar consideration, I think. And then she plays an aging actress in Hollywood who perchance comes across this black market drug that promises to make her youthful with a twist. And I do not want to give anything away on The Substance. Margot Qualley, who's also good here, but I do think she pales a little bit in comparison to Demi Moore. Whenever she was on screen, I was always very anxious to get back to Demi Moore. Plays, let's just say, a younger version of Demi Moore, who may be taking over her career. And while this movie is anything but subtle, because I think it, unlike Megalopolis, where I don't know what it's trying to say, I think The Substance wears its theme right on its sleeve. It pretty much nails home everything about consumerism and the industry and youth and our constant chasing of belonging and not in self-worth. It really throws it out there. You're going to know what the movie is saying. I just think this is really, more than anything, a star vehicle for the director, because the film it's a fantastic script and it looks amazing, and a great comeback for Demi Moore. What did you think about I would say the last quarter of the film that really does kind of go to the very over the top violent stuff? How'd you feel about that? Did it go too far?
I remember at the beginning, about a quarter into the movie, I was like, okay, I understand what's happening here, and I feel like I kind of know where this is going, and I'm going to be really disappointed if this does not follow through, because I was like, this has to hit some absurd something to keep me interested.
Right. Oh, it did.
And it did.
It did.
And it did. It did. I mean, it blew the roof off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I got what I wished and more. So much. I mean, I just, before we get off topic, Demi Moore's physical performance in this is so impressive.
Yeah.
And also just very brave. I mean, a very brave project for her to take. I mean, she's putting it all out there and then some. I mean, that makeup was so brutal.
Yeah.
So props to her and Margaret Qualley. And I hate to give this person props, but Jesus Christ,
he was
Dennis
good.
Quaid is so goddamn good in this.
Yeah, he was.
And it's so unfortunate that he has spent the last month promoting Regan and not this.
Yeah.
What a strange year it has been for him.
Yeah. This is.
Yeah.
I have not seen Regan. These movies pretty much came out at the same time, The Substance and Regan. And I've seen him in a couple interviews, and he makes no mention of this film whatsoever. I think it's probably to him in some ways like Boogie Nights is to Mark Wahlberg. Like he almost wants to disown it, like...
Yeah.
Please don't compare me to that, but he's really good in this. I mean,
he's so good though. He's really, really good.
It is very hard to play something that over the top and make it grounded, where it actually has some believability. It could have easily become cartoonish, and I think he's great in it. Listen, this movie, this is a big disclaimer. This is not for everyone. I could see tons of people watching this and going, "That was the worst thing I've ever seen." Hell, this movie's not even for me. I should hate it.
Yeah, I was shocked that you actually enjoyed this as much as you did. I was worried.
I think, blown away by the look of it. The whole thing was shot in France.
Wow, yeah. It looks great. It looks amazing.
It looks great. The color schemes, the use of the 80s stuff. It is a true body horror film, which is normally not my category. Yeah, but like you said, it has a lot of comedic tone to it as well. The Substance for me gets an A-.
Yeah, The Substance for me, hilarious. It's hard to watch. Somehow, amongst a body horror film, I think the grossest scene for me was just watching Dennis Quaid eat shrimp.
Yeah,
and
I think that's partially on purpose.
Very intentional, absolutely. Yeah. And The Substance for me is going to get an 8.
Yeah. Okay.
8 out of 10. Yeah.
Good. All right. So I mentioned we had 4 movies that we have both seen, and all of them are Oscar bait. This one has only opened limited release. I had to drive a good hour and a half to see it yesterday, and I know Jackson had to go off to just 1 or 2 theaters that has it as well. It's going to be opening wider. There's already buzz. It was the winner this year, the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, which is
not just that. It has had the most successful box office of a limited release movie, and I think it's had one of the most successful weekend openings since COVID started. So good things ahead of this film, I think.
There's going to be a lot of Oscar buzz on this, but do I think it deserves it? And is Jackson on board as well? The movie's name is Anora. I'm still beating myself up. Listen, I was a very big fan of Sean Baker's movie, The Florida Project, about a small motel in Florida that starred Willem Dafoe and some young kids. In fact, it was one of my top 10 films of 2017. I don't know why. As much buzz as I heard about Red Rocket, his follow-up to that, and I've heard buzz about his first film, Tangerine, I have never seen either of those films. And every single time,
me either, actually.
Every single time I go, I've heard nothing but good things about both of them. I'm going to watch it. Something else comes up. Sean Baker, the writer and director of Anora, that's his new movie. I will say this: he does seem to have a bit of an obsession with sex workers. This is his third.
Yeah, definitely.
This is his third movie having to do. Tangerine was about a streetwalker. Red Rocket is about a former porn star, and Anora played wonderfully by Mickey Madison, who some people will recognize from one of the latest Scream movies. She was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in a small part as one of the Manson killers. She plays the title character, Anora, who goes by Annie. She is a sex worker in New York City who dances and escorts on the side. And her run-in with a youth of a very rich Russian business couple, because she does in fact speak the language a bit, turns into an escapade over a couple weeks as a love affair blossoms. Before I get into my thoughts, if I think this film deserves the praise that it's getting, and Jackson's thoughts, I will say this. This was a brilliant marketing campaign. I have seen the trailers for Anora for a couple of months, and if you have or you go online and see the trailer, it looks like a dramatic romance between a couple that does not belong together, that finds love and finds a way. Anora is anything but that. It is one of the most surprising movies I've seen this year. I had no idea where it was going, and I was thrilled with where it did. Jackson, what are your thoughts on Anora?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you just said. I was a little bit nervous for this, as much as a fan as I am of the Florida Project. Mm-hmm. The trailers were never super awesome to me.
Yeah.
I always felt it kind of looked a little cheese, but I guess it's very much intentional.
Yeah.
This movie is so heartwarming and human and really just beautiful. I loved Anora. I loved it so much. I have so many thoughts that I'm trying to compile right now about it. God, I mean, I don't even know where to start. First off, one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in my life. I was laughing my ass off when that guy was trying to text in the baptism.
Jackson, one of the funniest movies of the year.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
At least
it was so funny.
At least the second half of the movie, which is
Anora
takes this incredibly strong turn in tone and theme, but they did it seamlessly. It didn't feel awkward.
Yeah, it didn't
feel weird.
Yeah.
It just suddenly you're watching this drama and romance, and it turns into this almost like this.
Like a slapstick,
gangster slapstick, cars coming off hitches and tug of war in this living room with cursing, and I just I was so shocked not only that it went that way, that they pulled it off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just absolutely hilarious. Anora is such a complex and likable character. I couldn't get enough of watching her on screen. Mikey Madison, one of my front runners for Best Actress of the Year as it currently stands. Just a phenomenal performance overall. But I would feel stupid to not mention the supporting cast, which is full of gems. Just everybody in this movie. Whoever, I don't know his name off the top of my head, but whoever played Igor, however you pronounce it, somehow manages to make every single moment of silence he's in unbelievably interesting.
There are scenes where there's 4 or 5 of them, and he's off to the side in the back, and I'm watching him the whole time. He's not saying anything.
You can't keep your eyes off him.
Yeah, but you're seeing him.
You can't keep your eyes off him.
He's taking in. He's almost like we're seeing it through his eyes. We're taking in the insanity that's going on around him, and obviously the feelings that he's having for one of the characters.
I think that what makes this movie for me, though, is that it can feel so all over the place sometimes, and I think that every plot line, every character interaction, every moment, all become justified within the last 15 seconds of the movie.
Right.
Immediately, every part of the film makes sense in just the last few seconds of the film. I could not think of a more fitting ending to the story. I think that the way it was done was so tasteful with so much love.
Yeah.
Sean Baker knows how to use a camera so well. The shot selection was perfect. Anora blew my socks off, and frankly, I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah,
I probably will.
Yeah, there are 3 categories that this film is a lock to be nominated and will be high contenders to win, and that is Best Actress, Best Screenplay, and Best Director. I can say that those 3 are an absolute lock. I don't know.
I think Best Cinematography might happen as well.
It could.
I
just don't know if it's. I don't know if it's a lock, but I think it's definitely in there. Sure. But I agree with you 100% how everyone was flushed out. And there was a part of me when we're introduced to the gangsters. Let's just call them gangsters because they're really not. Igor and Toros and the heavy guy. And all three of those guys were so flushed out as characters as well. Like, there was some point I was like, they're just going to be nutheads or muscleheads, but I actually felt really sorry for Toros. I felt sorry for the guy who got physically abused. I mean, at some point I'm like, at first I thought, oh, this is like Russian mafia, and really they're just guys just hired to,
but like just assistants trying to just keep things in order,
trying to do what the boss. I will say this: if I had one criticism, just one, I wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about the woman who played his mom, the Russian mom. I thought she was
I agree. A little stereotypical.
Yeah, I like the dad. I like his reactions to everything.
Yeah, he was hilarious.
Right.
He made me laugh a lot.
The mom, I was not so crazy about. Listen, Anora opens in wider release in the coming weeks. It may not be out playing near you if you're out in the middle of nowhere, but it will eventually come, I think, especially as this movie gains heat, and I think it will. And I don't want to say much more about the movie because I think the little you know going in, the better off it is. You know what? Another tangent here. This has been an amazing year for female performances. Like right now, I'm just looking at all the movies that I'm looking at. I mean, if it's not Mickey Madison and Anora, Demi Moore in The Substance, you could look at Zendaya in Challengers. I just think it's been in a really strong, like, if you ask me right now who's getting nominated for Best Actor, I'd probably have to sit back and, really think and debate it for a while. But there are a ton of women, and there's a lot of buzz on Amy Adams and Night Bitch, and Saoirse Ronan apparently has the Outrun and Blitz, two big movies, the Steve McQueen movie coming out.
And Marion Baptiste and Mike Lee's new movie, maybe, hopefully.
I only saw the trailer, and I'm not...
Hopefully, please. I know.
Not really over the moon on the trailer.
We'll talk about it. I'm hoping they just don't know how to market it. I'm hoping that's what happens.
They don't know how to...
I also am not crazy.
They don't know how to cut a trailer, because the trailer was not the best. But yeah, it's just been I think so far at least, I'm like, this is the year of the female performances because I just have not been blown away by a lot of the men out there so far. But Anora, one of the best films of the year. I think it'll safely be on our top 10 list. Who knows, when the dust all settles, we got a long way to go. Anora gets an A from me. It's an A.
Yeah, Anora gets a 9 from me.
Yeah. We're looking for that elusive A+ and the 10.
I know. I haven't had one this year yet. I'm waiting for it. I'm holding out.
It has to be something that for me, it's got to be something that I go, this is an instant. And I'm not saying Anora or Challengers or any of the other films. I've given a couple A's out this year. It doesn't mean The Substance an A-. It doesn't mean that I don't think they couldn't be classic films. It's just I don't.
I know it's missing that one.
Yeah.
You go,
something where you walk out and you go, I can't even talk right now. I saw something. But these are all fantastic movies, and if it keeps going like this on award season, it's going to make my top 10.
Are there any movies coming out soon that you're thinking might hit that for you? What are you anticipating?
Boy, it's so weird, Jackson, because I was so excited about Saturday Night, and that let me down. And I have to be honest with you, I was on the fence with Anora. And yet that one blew me away. So it's hard for me to say, wow, I'm looking forward to that. Listen, everyone is raving about Conclave. But I just don't know how interested I am in a movie about the church.
Me either. I have tickets to see it, but I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it.
Yeah, I guess the movie that I'm most excited about, I'm seeing this Thursday night. It's an advanced preview. I think it opens limited next weekend, and then wider is the Jesse Eisenberg movie, A Real Pain, with which I hear Kieran Culkin might be the male performance. A lot of people are really raving about him. So I guess that's one I'm pretty excited about. I don't think I'm on the edge of my seat about Gladiator 2. I mean, I'm going to see it. It's a great cast.
Mickey 17, are you excited for Bong Joon-ho?
Well, first off, that doesn't come out until next year. So,
oh no.
That got pushed to January or February release date.
Whatever.
So, that's not a good sign. Let me think. Is there...
Here's my 3 right now.
Okay. What am I forgetting?
That would be, I really want to see Nickel Boys. That looks really great.
I even said that. When I saw the trailer for Nickel Boys, I go, I bet that's going to be my favorite film of the year. I haven't seen it.
It looks great.
It looks amazing. I'm seeing that, and I'm seeing advanced screening of that next Saturday. So I will have early word on both those. What are the other two?
Nickel Boys, I'm really excited for. I'm really excited for Small Things Like These, the Cillian Murphy movie. Looks very much like my thing.
Yeah.
I know.
That's the one I texted you. I'm like, what is this about? I'm like, I don't even know what it's about. I mean, don't give it away if you know.
Awesome working class things. I don't know.
You know the story behind that movie, right?
No, not at all.
Okay. Did you see who produced it?
Yeah, it was
Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
And Matt Damon, right?
Yeah, well, Matt Damon, I guess, worked with him obviously on Oppenheimer, and Matt Damon was watching, Cillian Murphy work, and he literally called Ben Affleck. They've been working on this film, the No Small film, and he called Ben and he said, "Listen, I'm on the set of Oppenheimer right now. What this guy is doing is unbelievable." We have got
That's so awesome.
We have got to ask him to be in our movie. And apparently, Matt Damon, went up to him and was like, I know this is crazy. I sound like a film student, but I got this script.
Please.
I would really love you to read,
Yeah, that's so great.
That's how he got on board with it. So,
I'm excited.
Yeah, what's the other one? Sure.
My last one, and I'm
as
surprised as you are to say this. Oh, no, Nosferatu, I'm forgetting. So I guess it's 4. Nosferatu. And I am shocked to say this, but that new Steven Soderbergh movie could be really good.
It could be. It
could be really awesome.
It's a horror movie.
I love it. I mean, I haven't seen many of his films, and the ones that I have seen are the ones that he does for them, because he flip-flops. He'll do something crazy and then go back and do a
Magic
big
Mike.
blockbuster. But yeah, Magic Mike or Ocean's 11 or whatever. And so it's like, all right, let's see what you got, man. Let's see the one you do for you.
For those who haven't seen the trailer, I forget the name of it right now. I think it's one word.
Presence.
Presence, yeah. It's a Steven Soderbergh movie who's been around forever, blew up on the scene with Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and has done such a really eclectic library of films.
Strange.
Very strange. He's all over the map. He's doing sci-fi with George Clooney. The next minute he's doing, Magic Mike. It's his first foray into a horror film, and here's the only thing I get skeptical is when I see all the advanced write-ups on it, and it's like, unlike anything you've seen before, or reinvents the genre of film, or I'm like, okay, but does it?
I'll believe it when I see it,
Does it really reinvent all that? So, but yeah, I'm curious. Also, you might want to check the release date on that. I'm not sure that's a 2024 film.
Oh, God damn it.
That could be a January, February 2025.
They're doing these trailers too early now. I get excited.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Well,
maybe
right.
we'll see. So there it is. I guess the only one we really kind of disagreed on was Saturday Night. Megalopolis we both hated, and we both like the Substance, and Substance and Anora are without a doubt the must-sees.
Yeah, the two big ones for sure.
So I got some older films, I got some newer films. I'm going to run down about half of them, then turn the reins over to you, Jackson, and then I'll finish up. Let's see. I finally saw Thelma. Remember that one? That's Josh Margolin's here it is again. Writer and director debut. This is a crowd pleaser. Thelma is. It's on streaming now. It's definitely for the 60-plus people out there. But I got to be honest, I found it a little sweet. Maybe because I'm 56 years old, and I love how I'm talking about 60-year-olds like, old people who are 4 years older than me. June Squibb, she's 85. She's 85 years in real life, and she appears to have more mental acuity than either Trump or Biden in this film. She plays Thelma, the lead character, who's 93. She's taken by a phone scam that robs her of $10,000, and she's determined to get it back. It's got a nice turn in the film by Fred Heckinger. Have you heard of this guy? He's getting ready to blow up. He plays her grandson. He's in Gladiator 2, and he's in Nickel Boys. And then Parker Posey's in this, Clark Gregg, and it's really fun to see the late Richard Roundtree, aka the original Shaft, in this. before he passed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Thelma, maybe, look, it's a stretch in plausibility, but I still think I actually do think it has one of the funniest moments in movies, and I'm not giving it away because it's in the trailer, but Thelma has disappeared, and her grandson comes running into an old age home trying to find out if she's in there, and he runs through the hall and he's like, "Grandma!" And then you hear like 16 voices from every room go, "Yes!" Everyone there goes by Grandma, so they all just think it's their grandkid. Thelma gets a B- for me. I think I think it's worth a rental. I mentioned that Michael Keaton, who is searching for an Oscar right now in the movie Goodrich, which opened this week. Maybe we'll have that one by next time. He had his directorial debut, the movie called Knox Goes Away. It tells the final days of a hitman with a heart of gold. Don't they always have a heart of gold, Jackson? It can never just be
It's always the heart of gold. It's how they get you.
Who happens to be dying of dementia, and when a hit goes wrong and his son, played by James Marsden, becomes implicated in a murder, the question is, can Knox remember everything he needs to do to set things straight before he checks out? It's always great to see, I think, Keaton take on a lead role, especially after that train wreck that was Beetlejuice this summer. And listen, Al Pacino is in this. He's not there for any other reason to give exposition and do some scenes with Michael Keaton. It's fun to see the two of them together. You go, oh, there's Keaton, there's Pacino. The movie's passable enough. C+ for me on Knox Goes Away. And then the other one that I'll mention right now is I did say I saw Wicked Little Letters. That's directed by a Brit named Thea Sharrock. Movies don't get more British than Wicked Little Letters. If you remember this one that came and went in the summer, it's set in the 1920s in a seaside town in England. And all these scandalous letters filled with vulgarity are being sent to various folks in the town from someone anonymous. And when all eyes turn to the immigrant from Ireland, Rose, played by Jessie Buckley, who, by the way, Jessie Buckley, one of the best actresses out there right now. Whether you like all her films, she's great. And suspicion also comes to her neighbor Edith Olivia Colman. This is a pretty obvious movie. We know who's sending the letters from the beginning. If you don't, you're an idiot. It's a little over cute, especially with all like the town folk acting as sleuths to figure out who it is. But I still kind of enjoyed it. Believe it or not, Jackson, I don't know, man. Am I starting to enjoy old people movies? Is that what's going on with me? You would hate this shit.
You're falling for the bait.
I know. B-, B- for me on Wicked Little Letters.
Yeah, fair enough.
I got thoughts on the Joker sequel, Dee Dee, and my upfront review of a few others, including Smile 2. But Jackson, what have you been watching in your downtime?
Yeah, there's the one theater release that we didn't get to mention because I don't think you've seen it yet. That I saw this week was the Donald Trump biopic.
Oh, that's right. You saw The Apprentice. The Apprentice.
Yeah.
It's not doing well, and I thought his minions would have.
It's not doing well.
I guess it. Well, let me ask you this before you get into it.
It's not
a pro Donald Trump. But
it's not even a little bit.
Right.
So here's the thing. It's a good movie. I think that it's well done enough, and I think the performances are carry this film. I think Sebastian Stan is a very nuanced, and it's hard not to just do SNL Trump. You know what I mean? It's hard to hit a younger version of him, and I honestly think that he was great. But really, I think the front runner here is Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohn
from Succession.
Yeah, Jeremy Strong as Roy Cohn is one of such good casting. He plays the role so well, and the best scene and moment from this film is carried by him. It's a brilliant scene where it's Roy Cohn's birthday, and he's towards the end of his life, and he gets a birthday cake.
They did a movie about Roy Cohn about 20 years ago, and James Woods played him. And I think won an Emmy for it. I think it was a made-for-TV movie. But is the movie more about Cohen, or is it about Trump, or is it equal?
It is both. I think that it is more about Trump, but I think that what's interesting is that the movie the movie frames Donald Trump's life around the life of Roy Cohn, in that I feel like it's making the argument that by looking at where Roy Cohn's life ended and how he died and the way that he lived his life, we can kind of analyze how Trump will end at some point. And I think that's really interesting framing. I like that it took that route. There's a few moments in here where it's like corny nods ahead, where it's like, oh, really? This guy should think about running for president. Oh, man, really? You got some great ideas, man. You should think about running for president. And it's like, all right, we know. And I think that's my biggest, honest critique of this, is that it just feels a little early. I don't know. It's interesting to be telling this story now, and not in the way of like, oh, it's election cycle and this is a hit piece, but in the way of we just don't know what is going to happen still. And so something could go really differently and we would have no idea. He's still alive and he's still running for president and might get elected in November. Hopefully not, but he might. It's a possibility. And I think that, this movie could do its best to foresee how that will end and give nods to it, but we just don't know. We just don't know. So
I mean this and also go ahead.
I think it's worth seeing. I think it's an interesting take on Trump, and I think that I learned a lot personally. Really gruesome sexual assault scene in this movie too, by the way. Be warned for people who aren't ready for that, because that was another big complaint I had. Really strange tonal shifts in this movie. It does not handle them well at all. Just kind of cuts to the next thing. And also, it does this weird thing where in transitioning from the 70s to the 80s, it switches from film grain emulation to VHS tape emulation. So the entire second half of the movie is shot as if it were like playing on like your TV in the 80s, kind of like network TV look, which I did not enjoy. But yeah, sorry, you were going to say something?
My question is, Sebastian Stan, who everyone knows is the Winter Soldier, plays Trump. What's the impression like? I mean, is he doing the hand gestures
great.
And
it's really great.
Does it feel grounded, or are you like he's just doing a taste of him, or does he like no, he freaking sounds like him, looks like him?
It starts very, very minimal, and then as time progresses, it gets more exaggerated, which is really how it happened, I think. I mean, so much of his mannerisms he actually got from Roy Cohn. So it's interesting to see how. I think the interesting part of his performance is not just like him doing the impression; it's how he shows the progression of like 20-year-old New York elitist to complete cartoonish. Look at these boats; they're the best boats I've ever seen. From,
right,
right. But you get the full spectrum, and I think he does it in a really good way.
Oh, okay, good. All right, what are you giving The Apprentice?
The Apprentice gets a 6 for me.
6. All right, that's decent. But
it's all right. It's I think it's decent.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't think people who are Trump fans want to go see this movie that's judgmental of Trump. And to be honest with you, I think, and maybe me personally, I'm just so blitzed with him right now anyways that I'm like, for 2 hours of escapism, I don't know if I want to go watch Trump. So I think I'm just saying it's weird. It's weird timing. I think we're all a bit of exhaustion with him.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also I saw it with a buddy of mine whose also name is Jackson. You know him, and we left, and he was like, he's somehow worse than I thought.
Right.
Like this actually was like he's actually really way worse than I thought.
He's got a little
pretty terrible guy. We should not vote for him this year.
Little bit of baggage, just a little bit of baggage there. All right, what else? Sure. What else did you take in? Do you have any? Did you curl up with you and your lady friend and see anything?
Well, I did. I'll save that for last though, because there's one or two moves I want to hit in between. Just for an assignment for school, I had to watch the film Road to Perdition.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks plays a gangster alongside Paul Newman, Jude Law, Daniel Craig, Stanley Tucci, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and many more. It's a very stacked cast and is directed by Sam Mendes, who I have never been a fan of personally. I haven't seen all of his films. I have not seen American Beauty, which is I know is his big hit.
Right.
But I think that he tends to lean on his DPs a lot. I think that a lot of his movies are carried visually. And
before you get into it, just so you know where I'm coming from, if we disagree, I remember this about Road to Perdition. I remember visually it looked amazing. I thought Jude Law did really good, and I remember walking out going, I like that, and then forgot everything about it within a week.
Yeah.
So that
is pretty much the same thing that happened with me.
Okay.
It's a fine movie. It's very here and there. It is one of the most beautiful looking movies ever, and I just want to take a second to recognize that this movie was the final film shot by legendary cinematographer Conrad Hall, who also shot American Beauty, but of course is better known for movies like Cool Hand Luke, Butch Cassidy, Marathon Man, many, many more. Considered to be one of the greats, and I would consider him to be kind of Roger Deakins before Roger Deakins, which I think is also interesting because if you look at who shot the rest of Sam Mendes's films,
Deakins.
It would be Roger Deakins.
Yep.
It's just so gorgeous, and it's so unfortunate because before watching this movie, my teacher showed a compilation of different shots from it with like dramatic music playing over it. And the compilation was almost better than the movie was, which is always unfortunate. Seriously, though, if you are interested in cinematography at all, this is a must-see, a masterclass in shadow and depth. And you're right, Jude Law was great. Paul Newman, this is, I hate to say this is my first Paul Newman movie.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Outside of
you haven't
outside
seen
of Cars,
any?
But
are you
not
serious?
No. I haven't seen Butch Cassidy. I haven't seen The Sting, Cool Hand Luke, Color of Money, Hustler Proxy.
Yeah, Hustler and Color of Money. You have to see those back to back. I'll put together a list. My God, Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah, and he's great. He's so good. He's so good in Road to Perdition. But I haven't seen
Paul Newman. Never turned in a bad performance in his entire life. There are movies you might go, the movie didn't resonate with me. Never turned in a bad performance his entire career. If there is one, please message us and let me know what the bad Paul Newman performance was. Not movie, but performance.
We'll fact check you on that. Yeah, and then you were right. Jude Law is great, but the movie overall is just fine. It's a pretty touch and go. I mean, it's kind of an interesting story, but it's much like most of Sam Mendes' stuff, very Oscar baity, very over the top, and just really not my cup of tea. So Road to Perdition, I'm going to go right down the middle and give it a 5. Apologies to all the Road to Perdition fans out there.
I don't think there's a lot. Not a lot of Road to Perdition conventions going on right now.
And lastly, speaking of movies that have been carried by cinematographers, I watched 1984, the adaptation of George Orwell's novel.
Yeah, that was who did that again?
Yeah.
That's
Michael Radford directed.
British
the film.
guy.
Stars John Hurt. The always great Richard Burton and Susanna Hamilton, who didn't really do much, I think, after this.
Okay, I'll tell you what I remember of 1984. Too stylistic, like over the top stylistic, where distracting from the themes in the story. That's my remembrance of it.
I disagree. I think that the stylistic works. I think that my problem was that it's just the book. Like, because I just finished rereading 1984 very recently, and this movie doesn't. I mean, some people might like this. I personally don't. It's just the whole book. Like, there's nothing taken out, nothing changed.
Right. Everything
that's in the book is in the movie, and vice versa. And there's not really any risks taken. It's just the same story. And I think that I wish that it had taken more creative liberties. I wish that the story had taken as much risks as Deakins did, who shot this film, by the way, one of his earlier movies.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's unfortunate because I really do enjoy this film stylistically, but I don't think it holds up that much. And I think that it doesn't seem like Radford gave much for John Hurt or Richard Burton to do, quite frankly. So, yeah, 1984 for me is going to get also a 5, right down the middle.
Yeah. There's a reason why there's just certain films when you're flipping around the TV, like cable, and you go through the cable channels that have movies and the TBSs and the TNTs. There's certain films that did okay at the time, but like, when's the last time you were flipping around and you saw Road to Perdition? You know, on any channel. Or that was Ring, by the way. That's my Ring notification that someone's at the door.
Yeah, I think your Ring just made my Amazon like Echo go off. That was really strange.
That's kind of cool. So yeah, all right. I would, from what I can remember of both those films, I think I was I think I was probably not a fan of 1984 and middle of the road with Road to Perdition. So, have you been assigned a lot of movies this semester, or are your professors like, all right, are you not taking a lot of classes?
We are assigned a cinematographer every week that we have to watch a movie from. Most of them I've seen movies from already, so I've been just doing rewatches and I haven't been talking about them much. But we've talked about a lot of different people. Last week was Kaminsky, Spielberg's Spielberg's most recent guy. He did Fabelmans and a bunch of the newer ones. And then this week, I am forgetting who we had this week, which is unfortunate. But we've had a bunch of the big guys. Darius Kanji, obviously, who did Seven and a bunch of Fincher films, and then it's been a good list.
So they've been better. They're finally coming around. It's not just Jamie Lee Curtis and the cast of Barbie.
Yeah, I mean they're all movies that look phenomenal because they're all. We're studying the cinematography. We're not necessarily studying the story.
You don't have to.
But I think it's interesting how there's all, I don't know, just a lot to think about with the movies that we're getting now. So,
gotcha.
Anyways, speaking of movies with a lot to think about, my last one that I'll bring up is I sat down with my I love you, I love her so much, my wonderful girlfriend.
Now
to watch critically acclaimed.
Hold on. Let me set this up before you get it. Some of the past films that your girlfriend has required you to sit through include Royal Blue and You, or what was the
Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Of course.
What else have you had to?
Oh God, we've hit all the I mean, some of them have been good. I really enjoyed Clueless when she made me watch Clueless.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mean Girls. I think you've had to watch
Mean Girls, which I didn't love.
Yeah.
There's been some. She just likes watching Disney movies a lot, so it's a lot of animated Disney films.
Yeah,
a lot of the older ones.
Okay, so with that said, what is the critically acclaimed that you got to?
And here's what I'll say.
Okay,
I can take, and I actually enjoy a lot of the old Disney films. I like that stuff a lot. I love the old art style. They're always fun. You know.
Right.
My genre that I don't do is early 2000s Disney Channel movies. I don't like them. I don't. It's just not my thing. And
is this like the Lemonhead time, or kind of the
earlier?
I
got to sit down, and I got so lucky and fortunate enough to watch the Hannah Montana movie with my girlfriend.
Oh my gosh, she went old school on you. She just bypassed High School Musical and Teen Beach Party. She went right back to the beginning.
And this.
How's it hold up, Jackson? Does it hold up?
It actually doesn't hold up at all. There is a B plot where a journalist is basically chasing Hannah Montana around the world. And there's a whole scene where he hides a camera in her dressing room, and she's like 16, and he's like 45.
Did Dan Schneider produce this film by chance? Or?
I don't think he. Dan Schneider was Nickelodeon, so I don't think he did. But whoever did write that in, I think we should check them out a little bit, maybe do an investigation, because that was really weird. I also, by the way, I never watched Hannah Montana when I was younger, shockingly enough, and I didn't realize. Do you know what a Hannah Montana is about?
I thought it was just a country girl who had friends and dated boys. I never saw one episode.
So it's about a country girl who lives a double life as a rock star. So she in the lore of the TV show and the movie, her name is Miley, and she goes to high school.
Okay,
but when she puts on a blonde wig, she becomes Hannah Montana. And no one can recognize her. And no one knows who Hannah Montana is. Nobody knows. It's Miley and it's Hannah. And so there's scenes. They do a Benny Hill scene in this where it's like she's going through a turnstile and she's coming out as Hannah and leaving as Miley, and she's talking to a boy as Miley but going back to this meeting as Hannah.
Sounds adorable.
Yeah, Hannah Montana gets a 2.
A 2.
We can just move past this.
Thought. Yeah.
We could just move on past this if you want.
Your mother just walked in. Do you know that Jackson was forced to watch the Hannah Montana movie?
There's a Hannah Montana
Your mom said there's a Hannah Montana movie. Oh yeah,
duh.
Wow.
Yeah.
This must be love.
All right. Oh, apparently someone's just going to jump into our podcast.
Are you still doing
Oh no! By all means. Anything you want to say?
Oh, she didn't.
She didn't even know we were recording.
No, she think we were offline.
Yeah, she thought we were
that's
all
so
done.
funny.
That's all right. What did you like better, The Substance, Anora, or My Old Ass? Those are the last three you saw, right?
I also saw Smile 2.
And Smile 2. I think it's Smile 2. I'm putting my money on Smile 2. Hey, I didn't invite you. I didn't invite you to the microphone over here.
By the way.
I thought The Substance was...
Oh my God! I asked for the best movie, and I'm getting a diatribe here. I'm sorry. What?
They were all great in different ways.
They were all great in different ways. What is your favorite of the film?
what's such a
Nora, The
non-answer?
Substance, My Old Ass, or Smile 2?
But My Old Ass is a close second.
Okay, so you heard it. She went Anora, My Old Ass, then Smile 2, then The Substance.
You once again, I'll say it again. You are evil for taking her to that movie without telling her what it was about.
What? Smile 2?
No, The Substance.
The Substance. I didn't know what it was about. I had no idea. I just thought it was Demi Moore took a drug and it made her younger. I had no idea.
I text her mom and she was like, "We're sitting down to watch The Substance," and I was like, "You're sitting down to watch what? What?"
No, she.
Yeah.
I got news for you. I hid my eyes a lot more than she did during that movie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. A 2 for the Hannah Montana movie. And speaking of My Old Ass, that is a movie that I saw in theaters. It's still playing out there a little bit. Jackson, it's actually really a pleasant surprise. You heard your mom actually kind of liked it. Here again, Jackson, a writer-director. First-time writer-director. Yeah. Megan Park. She is a longtime actress who I think actually started out as a Disney kid. Sure. It stars Maisie Stella. She's from the TV show Nashville. She plays Elliot, who's a teenage gal getting ready to head off to college and exploring her sexuality. And then after what happens, Jackson, is her and her friends get together and take a bunch of mushrooms in the woods one night, and she encounters the older version of herself, played by the very hot right now Aubrey Plaza from Megalopolis. And, of course, who may or may not be her spiritual guide. Listen, it's an old Hollywood contrivance. You know, the old me meets the young me and wants to give advice or not. This movie is certainly a little bit manipulative, and it may or not ruffle the feathers of some in the lesbian community. I think it kind of ruffled the feathers of the lesbian couple that was sitting next to us, because this is a story that, not to give too much away, girl doesn't know if she's gay or bi or straight, and she's still kind of exploring her way through that. But I think they did it in a very touching way and a realistic way. I think a lot of people at that age still are finding out their route, so to speak. But it's a very funny film and very, very sweet. And I won't lie, I got a little choked up at the ending, even with the music swelling, and they're trying to do that. And it does have a nice little twist, even though I saw it coming. And I recommend this one. This is a really, really, really good date movie. So when it comes to something that you and Brooke are trying to kind of meet in the middle and agree on, I would definitely look into My Old Ass. It's definitely got some fun there. I'm going to give it a B. It's a very solid B.
Yeah. Sure.
I mentioned earlier Joker, Folie à Deux. Listen, this is a movie that's kind of been taken through the coals before. I think that probably the only reason this is not one of the most disappointing movies of the year is because there's been such bad word of mouth on it all summer leading up to it. We've heard.
Yeah, true.
It's not like people have been. We've already been having the creeping in feeling of, this is not what we think it's going to be. Todd Phillips just does not do sequels, okay? You made The Hangover, walk away. You make The Joker, walk away. Here's the biggest warning sign that you know Joker Folie à Deux is bad. 7 writers are credited on the film. That's rewrite after rewrite after rewrite. And a lot has been made about the fact that this is a musical, and I actually don't really think it is a musical. I think it's more a movie that has musical dream sequences in it. It's not like suddenly all the prison guards all break into da-da-da-da-da. I think it's more the musical sequences are more dreams within the minds, obviously, of him and Gaga. Gaga's fine in this. She's just underutilized. This is not a Harley Quinn movie. It's not even a Joker movie. And to be honest with you, I didn't recognize. Yeah, he's skinny and he's still got the laugh, but I felt like they were two different characters. The Arthur of the first movie did not feel like the Arthur of this one. It just was a completely tonally different film. It takes place all in a prison or in a courtroom. It feels claustrophobic. Joker Folie à Deux for me gets a D-. It's very close to being right there with Megalopolis.
Wow.
Not really sure.
And here's the thing. I originally enjoyed the first Joker movie. I've grown to kind of hate it a little bit.
Wow,
but once
really?
Again, speaking of movies that are carried by their DP, Lawrence Sher makes Joker look like one of the best things ever. I wish it was.
Yeah.
But what a great looking movie, and every single shot I've seen from the sequel looks just absolutely incredible. So good on him. I hope he gets some more projects in the future. Hopefully not with Todd Phillips.
Yeah, Joker hasn't really soured with me, but then again, I haven't revisited Joker. And I don't think I need to. It's one of those films where I go, I don't think I need to go into that world again. Before I get to Dee Dee, I can tell you my thoughts on it. You can tell me if we're on the same page. There are two horror movies that have now left theaters that were just out recently that I actually think both are maybe worth a peek. The first one is Speak No Evil. That's if you remember, that's the movie about the family that gets terrorized by the other family
with
while
the
they're
30-minute
on
trailer.
vacation. Yeah, exactly. We saw the trailer 800 times. It's actually a remake, by the way, of a 2022 Danish film of the same title. Speak No Evil. Hold on, I'm getting interrupted here. All right. Breaking news: plumbers also coming to our house, doing evaluations on our remodel as we speak.
Oh, good.
Speak No Evil. This is directed by James Watkins. He wrote and directed this again.
What is going on?
Look, it's a pretty formulaic movie, but 2 words why you should see Speak No Evil. James McAvoy. He's great in this. The entire movie is nothing but tension. I mean, is this kind of a formulaic movie? Is this the kind of movie where you're going to look at the couple and the kid and go, get the hell out of there?
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to do that. But McAvoy has a way of making it all grounded and really tense. And just waiting for when that twist is finally going to happen. By the way, side note, if a family has a creepy kid, get away, get out. The kid's creepy.
Get out of there, man.
There's no bigger warning sign. But I liked it. I was tense. I was on the edge of my seat, and it's pretty passable. It's going to get a B-. Speak No Evil. The other one is Never Let Go. Director Alexander Ahe, he's kind of the Mr. Horror guy. He's done a bunch of them before. He made his smartest move in this little movie in casting, because Halle Berry, Oscar winner, is fantastic. The 2 kids who play her sons are great. This is that movie, if you remember, about a mother and 2 kids who are in a cabin, and they cannot leave the cabin unless they are tethered to a rope that is connected to their cabin, because that's the only thing that keeps the spirits and the evil things in the woods from getting them. The majority of this movie is a little bit of what you would think it is. Is this real, or is this all in Halle Berry's sick head and she's tormenting these kids? There are twists at the end. I'm not going to tell you whether it is or isn't. I don't think Never Let Go quite sticks the landing, but I still, for the performances alone, I think it's worth a cable watch at least, and that's going to get a C+ for me. So again, you got 2 horror movies there, Speak No Evil and Never Let Go, that I think without the cast members of Halle Berry and James McAvoy, I would have much lower grades, but the performances really bring them up a bit. And then finally, before we wrap up this marathon, Jackson, I did see Dee Dee. That's the movie that you spoke about last time from James Wang, writer and director, telling what I can only imagine is a biographical story, since the lead character is a kid named Wang Wang, and this is by James Wang.
Sure.
I thought Dee Dee was sweet. I think it was a little bit what I would call maybe inconsequential. I don't know really what it taught me, or if I felt completely moved by all of it. I thought the acting was good. I thought the kid who played Chris, Wang Wang, was well. Here's the thing about Joan Chen. I think if this movie had been done well, it's pretty much left theaters, but I think if it had done better, this was very much like almost a Michelle Yeoh moment for her, because when I saw her, it's like I see Joan Chen, who you probably don't know, but used to be very big, and I go, where?
No, I do. I've seen Twin Peaks. I remember her.
I'm like, where have you been? You were the hot thing for a while, and then you were gone. Very much like Michelle Yeoh after Crouching Tiger, and we were like, she is the next thing, and they've gone away. So she, of course, is fantastic here. I thought it was really great use of showing how your generation, especially maybe the one just slightly before, but somewhat to you, how grew up navigating this world of MySpace and social media, and how you found your personality and who you were and how to communicate with people through this weird world of direct messaging and likes and not likes. I thought that was all done really well. I feel like this is a really good movie about a middle school kid making that transition into high school. I think it was done better in Bo Burnham's 8th Grade. I think that movie hit me as a much better film overall. But I did enjoy Dee Dee. I didn't think it outstayed its welcome, and I give it a solid B. It was good. It was good.
Sure. I think I felt about the same as you did.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be remembered come Oscar time. But
I also don't think so. Yeah.
I think
a lot of career ahead of everyone involved, though, honestly. So
yeah. So it brings me as we wrap this thing up, because how many times did I say writer director today?
Yeah.
It's there's so many of these. They come out and they get a chance, and you go, "This is my passion project," but then you wonder, do they have more passion? Like, who out of all these people are going to be the next Tarantino's and Scorsese's and Paul, P.T. Anderson's, or who are going to be the people who are like, it's weird. Yeah. It's like, who was the woman who won the Oscar for Nomadland? Chloe Z or
Chloe Zhao?
Yeah, Chloe Zhao. Like, you're like, oh, here she is. This is a project she's been working on, and it meant everything to her. And then what's she going to do next? She's going to do Eternals movie.
Eternals, that's what it was. Yeah.
Which is a Marvel movie. And you're like, okay, that's what was next for her? Or, I don't know. I don't know if there's a Greta Gerwig in here or not. A lot of these are great films. I think the one I'm most excited for is I think Sean Baker is getting ready to have a moment. So I certainly hope it doesn't get lost in the weeds, at least.
Yeah, absolutely agreed.
Do you have a lot of people there? You know a lot of people who are on the directing course. They just want to write and direct. Do you know anyone who just wants to direct? Or they all want? They all
probably.
Want? Really?
It's a lot of writer directors, but I think there are some people who want to just direct. Right. Or who don't want to direct narrative stuff and are looking to do like music videos and commercials and things that don't really involve writing as much.
Now, do you want to direct?
No.
No. Yeah, you're young.
I would do it.
You don't know.
I would. I would, but it's not my. I think that I'd be so worried about camera the whole time that I think I'd be pretty bad at it.
Right. Well, listen. Yeah. There are some directors who know camera, and if they're smart, they hire directors that don't need a lot of direction, where you're like, listen, I got Jack Nicholson. All I need to make sure is that it's lit and focused, and he's going to give me gold 15. I'll have so many takes I won't know which one to use. Yeah. And then there's people who, are great with actors and like they want to sit and let's talk and let's coffee and let's work this thing out and talk it out.
Yeah.
And then they turn to a good DP and go, just make this look good, okay?
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be both. You could be a director and just suck with actors.
Hey.
The other thing too is you got to juggle so much when you're doing that.
Yeah.
All right. That's how long? What are we clocking, Jackson? I knew we weren't going to have room for anything else.
We're clocking at hour 30.
Oh my gosh, that's even long.
There it is.
That's even long for us. Hey, here's something you haven't heard before. We're going to try really hard to be back very, very soon. We can't promise you anything,
We should be good for next week.
But hopefully we'll have at least a couple movies. I mean, maybe we'll have a couple movies. We'll come back with something.
I'm seeing We Live in Time on Wednesday night, and I've got tickets to see Conclave on Friday morning. So I should have at least those two to talk about.
All right, I got A Real Pain and Good Rich, and I'll try to squeeze in We Live in Time and Conclave as well.
Yeah.
There you have it. Please follow and like us on Instagram at PGN Podcast. You can follow my son on TikTok and all other social media outlets. He's Jackson N, that's an extra N, Burns. And then you can follow me on the Instagram at Regan.Burns. And make sure to go to YouTube, subscribe to this channel so you get updates when new episodes drop every 6 to 8 months, so you can be there. Drop some comments and likes on there for us as well. Every little bit helps to get us over the 50 people who listen to this particular podcast. We do it for love because
strong 50.
We do it for love because we have to talk movies, and it's an excuse for us to bond over the only thing we have in common anymore besides cage fighting. We both love a good cage fight.
Love cage fighting. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else from you, Mr. Burns?
That's all I got. Yeah, love you.
All right, love you too. We will see you guys